Hello friends, it's me, and also Junie licking her butthole over there. I was very amused by this. It's kind of a gloomy, rainy fall day today, so I wanted to do an art tutorial and also talk about this thing that I do when it comes to art tutorials. I don't know how common of a thing this is, but I almost always want to follow art tutorials. I even have a Skillshare account, but then I almost always stop myself. And I think that's because I really want to make quote-unquote original art, and especially because I share my art, although I've been a little lax about that, but I know that other people will see it online or in real life, and I kind of shy away from having to tell people that it isn't my original work, it's a tutorial, because I feel like originality is very valued in art, you know, like I feel like the epitome of art is being able to draw from your imagination, you know, not following a reference, and obviously tutorials are like the opposite of that. The thing is too, drawing from your imagination is actually really difficult. Sometimes it feels impossible, even if you've got a lot of skill, which, let's be honest, a lot of new artists do not have. It's just really difficult. Your imagination usually is probably way more advanced than what you can produce with your hands, and it just kind of leads to a generally frustrating experience. Unless you kind of figure it out, unless you can really put in that prep work to, you know, figure out the perspective of things and how things are supposed to look. Maybe you don't know how to draw acorns, but the piece you want needs acorns. You got to put in the work to figure out how to properly draw an acorn first. So it just requires a lot of mental load, which, to be honest, isn't really what I have the energy for most days, you know, especially if you're struggling with your mental health, or if you're a really busy person and you just want to do this as as something that de-stresses you, decompress at the end of the day, tutorials are so much better for that. They're like the perfect way to produce art and develop new skills while also not having to think about it too much, because a person has already put in the work to do that. They've figured out what you're gonna draw, they've provided a reference photo, and they're usually talking you through the steps, or you can at least see what they're doing and try your best to copy it. And honestly, unless you're like a super genius at copying what you see, your piece is probably not going to turn out the way that theirs turned out, and it will kind of be original in the end anyways. So for example, the one that I'm doing here, here is what the artist intended the piece to look like, and this is what is coming out for me. And that is because, you know, I don't have those skills. This is my first time trying that technique, and also because my materials kind of suck. This is the Canson mixed media sketchbook, so it's not great for watercolor, and this whole painting is mostly wet on wet, requires a lot of water to be put down on paper, so my paper started buckling and little pools of water started kind of gathering, and then I also overworked it, became kind of muddy, but it was still really fun to do because I kind of got to play around with it. It wasn't super serious. I still felt like I was following the instructions a bit. I also got to think about, you know, light sources and perspectives and, you know, color contrasts, and in the end I ended up learning something while also producing something in like under 30 minutes, so it was also time effective. And I got to use my, what's it called? The masking fluid, which I usually never use just because it's just too much work, and I don't want to ruin my brushes, but I brought it out today and it was such a good time. And I just wish that I could fully enjoy the piece that came out of it. But in the back of my mind, there was always that little tiny voice that like, this isn't your art, you shouldn't share it, because it's not like the epitome of creativity, right? And I mean, of course, like, always give credit to where credit is due in terms of, you know, the tutorials you're following and the artist who created them. But I just mean, like, I can't put this up on my shiny Instagram page and be like, look, I just made this all by myself, you know? And so in terms of like sharing art, like, I feel like following tutorials just doesn't really make sense, except that I don't know why it matters. Like, it doesn't really matter. Just, I could just upload it and say this is the tutorial and still be happy with the fact that I created something that honestly does look kind of unique to me, even if the idea isn't unique to me. So I don't know, I'm always kind of struggling with these kind of concepts of originality and creativity, and I would love to know if you do too, and how do you feel about it. I'm trying to let go of that, so I'm hoping to follow more tutorials and just say screw it and use the Skillshare account that I paid for, because there's a lot to learn when you follow other people's artwork. And you know what, I feel like originality is kind of overrated, and it's like kind of a myth too. Most of us just build up on ideas and concepts and techniques that we see other people use. So it's hard to fully claim like an original idea when honestly it feels like everything else has already been done. And I think this is probably also part of my kind of insecurity of not having a distinct art style. I always go for different tutorials. There isn't really any consistency, which I feel like is fine because I'm trying to learn different techniques, but it doesn't stop me from overthinking everything. Anyways, this is how the whole thing turned out. It's quite messy and muddy, but I still think it looks really good. Even though I haven't been saying a lot of positive things about it, I think it looks pretty good, even if it doesn't look as good as the original. Anyways, thank you so much for watching and listening to my little chat/rant. I'd love to know how you feel about tutorials in the comments below. And I'll see you guys next time, hopefully with more videos. I've been really bad at posting them recently. Anyways, bye!